Good afternoon. Welcome to Real Big Talk. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Welcome. Lola, I wanted to make sure that I addressed this early in the show because I found something last night that I think could help a lot of people. Yesterday when we were kind of in the middle of the show and I got the quick alert about so many doses are available in your neighborhood now, try to get on, and obviously I wasn't able to do that. So last night, I was looking for alternatives on at this point, what can we do? And I had a few people reach out to me yesterday, actually from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia, saying, hey, it's just one of those things that we're waiting here too. People are on the list and they're frustrated. So I came across this last night. I wanted to share this with everybody. Now, I looked and found as much information as I could, and it seems like it's a legitimate, accurate thing. So I went ahead and signed up for it, and I think you're probably okay because in the last 18 hours, I haven't received any spam or anything like that. So I think you're good to go if you sign up for it. But what it's called Dr. B. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
It is a website that is connected to many outlets that are providing vaccinations, and the website is real easy, and there's not a lot of flash to it or anything like that. Real simple. The website is Dr. B or HIDRB.com, HIDRB.com, or you could just Google search Dr. B. It's the first thing that'll come up for you. They're connected to providers of the vaccine, and this is the standby list. If someone is distributing vaccines in your area and they have more than they thought, or there are some left over for whatever purpose, they misjudge the amount, people don't show up, this actually will send you a text message. If you are the next person in queue, you have 15 minutes to respond to the text message, yes, I can make it, no, I can't, and then you have like a 2-hour window to get to wherever that vaccination site is within your area. So it could help. 273,000 people have signed up for it so far, but that's nationwide. So you don't have to think there's 273,000 people in front of you. That's for the entire nation. It's real easy to do. You just have to basically put in your phone number and a few little pieces of information, nothing overly intrusive, just your phone number. So if that can help somebody, I signed up for it last night. Obviously, it's no call yet, but if it works, it works. Don't let the COVID vaccinations go to waste. Dr. B provides a standby list that connects patients needing COVID-19 vaccine with healthcare providers needing to administer vaccines before they expire. To me, this seems like something we should be hearing more about.
Okay, give me that website again.
It's HIDRB.com, but you could actually just type in Dr. B into a Google search or a Yahoo search, whatever, and it's the first thing that comes up, Dr. B. And when you look at it, it looks sketch as hell, I'm not gonna lie. It's just a black and white website. It looks like I designed it with 2 crayons and a piece of paper. Like seriously, it looks, but I guess the idea is it's just simple. And what you can do is, if you're a provider, you can link up and partner with them, and there's just 2 buttons. I want the COVID-19 vaccine, and I am a provider. It's as easy as you're gonna find to get yourself on a list. I just think it's odd that I stumbled across this. Why aren't there more of these things? Or maybe not more of these things, but why do we not hear more about it? Because this wasting vaccine right now is should be a crime, the way people are clawing for it. But yeah, I stumbled across this on accident, but it appears to be, by every means that I could find, an absolute legitimate website that connects people to vaccines that are going to otherwise be wasted.
Well, I told you how my brother and his wife got theirs. They had extra doses at that particular Walgreens. She was there filling a script, asked the question, is there any way my husband and I can get a shot? And they said, well, if we have extras, we'll call you. And they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that simple. They were not, they've been on a list.
Sure, right
that's
place
not
at the
where
the right time. I mean, and with the sounds of which, and like I said, I heard from several people yesterday. Some people posted in the comments on the live stream. I got a couple of messages to my personal Facebook page inquiring about the process that I was going through. And so really, I thought, if there is something like this out there, it should be talked about. And lo and behold, there is. There is. So yeah, sometimes you're not in the right place at the right time, and sometimes you are. When I went to my doctor, my last appointment, which was at the beginning of this month, the clinic was going on in a different room than obviously in the area that the examination rooms. And I asked, and they're like, no. It's just flat out, no, that's not how it works. Sometimes it works out in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. But Dr. B is the place to find that if you want to get yourself on the kind of the emergency, we're not going to waste this dose, how fast can you get here list. Gives you 15 minutes to respond to the text message that you get, and then a 2-hour window to get to the place in which they say it provides. And it goes by your region. So, I mean, you're not going to get a text in Wheeling and be asked to get to Columbus in 2 hours. It localizes where you are. But just wanted to pass that information along. Other vaccine struggles last night, because when people respond to this show, by the way, you can always do so, 304-214-1600. That's the phone number. Also, you can text that number as well. And another good way is to put into the comments anything you want to say during the live stream over at our Facebook page. But when people really want to get involved and have something to say about things that we're talking about here, I mean, that honestly lights a fire for me to go find the information if I don't know it. And that's why I found this. And last night, as I was continuing to look for vaccines, like they make it they make it like a hunt in PA. You're hunting down and you're trying to. It's almost like Vaccination Survivor. Remember the TV show Survivor? Like that's what it feels like. You have to outlast everybody else that's trying to get vaccinated. So last night, St. Clair Hospital, which is not terribly close to my house, but certainly within a reasonable drive to it, they posted online that they're having their vaccination clinic is starting next week. So I went to sign up and get on that list. And a lot of websites, and this is where a lot of people are having trouble, and I just happen to know someone that works at the hospital, so I was able to at least inquire how this works. Obviously, right now in most states, you have to be 65 and over or meet the criteria for the first phase. Well, I meet the criteria for the first phase, but I'm not 65 or over. A lot of the websites people are trying to sign up on are not allowing you to sign up because when you have to put in your birthday, it only allows you to be 65 or older. So if you don't have that, if you're like not 65 or older but eligible, you're finding no way to get in. So it is frustrating. I know it is frustrating for everybody, but Dr. B, check that Facebook or check that website out. Put your name in the I want the COVID-19 vaccine, and basically they will take your area and see if there are extras to be had. You just have to get there in a pretty short matter of time. Just perfect honesty, we're experiencing something new here. We're changing up the way we do the show a little bit. So I don't know what all that will lead to today, but I can tell you at 4 o'clock, we're pushing him back a little bit. At 4 o'clock, our guy Stephen Allen Adams will be joining the show. He is going to go through some of the state news that's happening. And Lola, I wanted to ask you about this because I want to make sure that I ask the right questions to Steve. Yesterday, we were talking about that bill that hit the floor about teaching sexuality in schools. And I'm not even 100% sure I grasp what this is about.
They don't want any discussion whatsoever about LGBTQ.
So that's just to eliminate the whole thing and pretend that we live in a world where
it doesn't exist. Yeah. And now there's a Senate Bill 11 that will make it completely illegal for any public employee to strike.
I saw that.
The teachers. What is the main crux to being in a union? It's your main bargaining point. when all else fails, when they won't bargain in good faith, the ability to strike. If you can't strike and they won't bargain in good faith, what's the point of having a union? I find it reprehensible that the state would, after what the teachers went through 2 years ago, to now really press a point and pass a bill that would make it illegal and fireable and finable to be able to utilize the one thing that all unions have, and that is the ability to strike. I find it, they're just trying to bust the union again, which they tried to do 2 years ago. And 55 Strong came through, and those people stood up together and, got part of what they were looking for. And they wonder why they can't get more teachers to come into the state.
Boy, I tell you.
It's amazing. And then that Senate Bill 5, too, that, about the not allowing for legal fees to be paid to smaller claims against, particularly consumer protection claims. So it's like saying, well, corporations are more important than you are. You little peoples, we don't care. This particular session and the legislators are trying to move this state backward 50 years.
Yeah.
I'm dumbfounded and ashamed.
Yeah, this is all stuff for, we'll talk in depth with Steve. I mean, he covers it. That's what he does at 4 o'clock. Stephen Allen Adams from Ogden Newspapers and The Intelligencer will be on with us. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about a couple of those topics when we get back right here on The Watchdog.
Tune in to Marshall County's second favorite son, Donnie Gilbert, Fridays from noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that The Watchdog trusts.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
At Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Get softer skin and cleaner clothes with a Morton Water Softener. Water softeners remove minerals and will eliminate hard water stains and give you better tasting water. The 27,000 grain unit is $319.99 after 11% off. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through February 27th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
The Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for you.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock, starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock, starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube voted Best Wings USA.
Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-TALK.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Change is never easy. It's never easy. We'll figure it out. We'll get there.
It's not the change. It's the technology.
Yeah, well, sure. That's never going to be easy.
We're figuring out what works and what doesn't work and how to fix what doesn't work. And, some things might be a little disjointed, but, basically.
Hey, look, I hear disjointed things all over the radio dial. At least we're disjointed, live and local. We're here in our studio in downtown Wheeling. And so when mistakes are made, they're made by people that are actually here. And that's okay. That's okay. It's live radio. We'll do it live. As Bill O'Reilly once screamed, we'll do it live. Well, we are. We're doing it live, and we want your contributions. 304-214-1600. Like I said, we are going to talk to Stephen Allen Adams a little later as he covers the state government for the Ogden newspapers. But I did want to talk about this a little bit because I didn't really fully understand how bluntly this proposal, this bill, is about the teaching of sexuality in public schools. And the reason I didn't understand it was because it doesn't, to me, the word sexuality doesn't fully explain all the things. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't understand all the different sexualities that you can be because I am never changed mine. It just stuck. And I'm not knocking anybody who has. In fact, why the hell does anybody care what anybody else does? It doesn't affect your life. It doesn't affect your life. If you are happy to be the way you are, then be it. Why torture anybody else because they're different than you? It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that they would, whether you like it or not, whether you are in some sort of idea that people shouldn't identify as something different than they look. If you're in that group, and I know a lot of people that are, a lot of people, super religious people are certainly that way, and I know a lot of people in my life that are that way. And I'm not here to judge any of them. All I'm saying is, even if you have that staunch conviction that people shouldn't be different than the way they look, it's 2021. That's not going to stop. I don't care how many bills you put out there in the world. I don't care how many people put their foot down and say, I'm tired of all that. I don't know whether to use he, she, him, her, this or that. I don't care. I don't care. If someone appears to be one thing but asks me to call them another, being polite and just, if I all decided my name was Fred and I said, Lola, no longer refer to me as Rick. My name is now Fred. Or my name is now Ginger. You would do it. Not because you went, wow, Rick doesn't look like a ginger. He just wants to be called Ginger, and that's how we will coexist.
Yeah.
Why does that matter to somebody? And why would you think that in 2021, putting that bill on the floor and pretending that people no longer or are no longer going to notice or accept or have to deal with people that want or are different than them? And then you want to send these kids to college? I got news for you. Walk through Morgantown. There's men in dresses. And you know what? If they want to be called Sheila, then that's their right to be called Sheila. You send kids from high schools, especially in this state that is not overly diverse with really anything, and you send them just to Morgantown in their own state, they're going to see things that they're going to be never taught in schools how to deal with, and that is not a good idea.
Here's the other thing. They keep saying they want to bring in more people. They want to bring in technology. They want to bring in corporations. They want to bring more population back. And this is the perception that they are going to put out there in the world that, no, West Virginia is not inclusive. West Virginia is not on the progressive end of the way that things are moving in the country. And what corporation is going to want to move a whole bunch of people here to work and pay taxes and make money when this is the perception that you're getting about the public school system?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm more worried, take the economic side out of it. I'm more worried about the fact that kids will not know how to talk to other kids who are different. And not necessarily, they're not different in a bad way, they're just different than them. And I got news for you. There are people like the corporations you'd want to attract, like Google and Amazon. I got news for you. They have executives that are trans. They're promoting everyone being themselves. So these places that would come in here and drop a ton of money and bring employees that would drop a ton of money into our local economies, they ain't coming.
I know it.
You want to ask the fourth from the top from Google, who happens to be a trans person, hey, could you go ahead and move to a place where they don't educate their kids about anybody being trans and then just go spend your $8 million a year salary in that state? They're not coming.
Well, and to add insult to injury, there is also, they won't pass an equal rights bill, about employment, housing. I mean, we have one here in Wheeling, and a lot of major cities do, but they're dragging their feet down.
I think Wheeling was the first one in the state to do it. Do we have a call, by the way?
Yes, we do. It's Todd.
Hi, Todd. Welcome to the show.
Well, hi, Ginger. How are you?
You know what? Doesn't bother me. The only part that bothers me is that I don't have red hair, but then it bothers me that I don't have any hair at all. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing. What's on your mind?
I was hoping maybe you could actually read the bill, because all I know of it is what you're talking about it, and but I also it's ironic to me because Wheeling has a transgender council.
Yes,
woman.
And that Todd, I will say this before I let you get any further. Wheeling is one of the more progressive cities in the state because it has a lot of business and development in its region, and I think the people here in Wheeling are more accepting. Like, go to Logan County and then let me do this show in Logan County and see if I make it out alive. I would get all kinds of hammered for some of the stuff that I say here, and transgender people. And I shouldn't point out Logan, for example, or personally, but Logan is not the most accepting place I've ever been in the 55 counties. Wheeling in Ohio County is probably the most accepting county that I've ever been in, and I've been to all 55. So I agree with you. It's an easier sell here in Wheeling on transgender and gay issues for sure. Now, go ahead, Todd. What was the next part of your comment?
Well, and my next part is why are they wanting to teach this in school? I'm 44. I graduated in 95.
Okay, so we're the same age. We're the same age.
Okay, when I went to school, we learned reading, writing, arithmetic, science, history, and civics. We got an education. They offered, sex education classes, but that was more about health. That was STDs and pregnancies and human anatomy and physiology, biology. I have issue with, I feel that there are a lot of things people are pushing for schools to teach that are, quite frankly, in my opinion, a parent's responsibility to teach their children. You want to teach religion? That is a parent's responsibility to teach religion, not a school's. You want to teach about, it's male and female and that's all it is, and if that's what your belief is, despite what the actual facts are, that there are people out there that identify as different sexes and whatever. But, if you teach that at home, that don't get taught at school. You have every right to teach your philosophy and your theology and your opinions at home, but school is for, reading, writing, math, science, history, and civics.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. And I pulled up the first sentence here that will explain what the bill says. The state board shall prohibit persons from putting up displays relating to sexuality in public school facilities and shall forbid the teaching of sexuality in public schools. So that's the way it reads, since you asked. So I just wanted you to know that. Here's what I would say to that. And you're right. When I went to school the same way. I learned USPA history. I learned math of some sort that honestly, and let's face it, we all learn things unless you became an accountant or a mathematician of some sort. We all learn geometry and things that most of us don't use. We don't. I don't know about you, but I never used anything that I learned in chemistry class because I'm not a chemist. So I get that there has to be things taught to people in schools that they may necessarily not look back and go, wow, thank God I had advanced chemistry because I really learned how to, blow up a microwave or whatever. So there are things that have to be taught. And that my point is this: whether you like it or not you personally, but if anybody, whether they like it or not, in 2021, there are transgender people. And transgender people are no longer hiding in closets and pretending they're not transgender. They're out in the workforce. They're making differences. They're making scientific strides. They're part of NASA. It's no longer something where people are hiding who they are. Now, people don't have to like that. Trust me, I think everybody should be at least tolerant of other people. And if you're not tolerant of someone else, just don't say anything and go the other direction and go home and complain about it to someone who is also intolerant. All I can say is this: that whole thing with people being transgender or gay or any of those things, it isn't going away. Not only is it prominent now, but it will only continue to get more prominent. We could go back to things that, and follow me here, because I know I'm taking one thing to another, but since we're the same age, I remember being a kid and thinking and hearing from adults, there will never be black quarterbacks in football. I remember that being a young man. We were looking at Terry Bradshaw. There won't ever be a black quarterback that wins a Super Bowl. That was stupid. How could we ever have been a society that thought that? Well, now you have to transform that into there will never be a trans captain of industry. They have to hide in their basement. We're there. 2021 is the point where we're there on transgender people moving forward in life and doing big things that honestly a lot of people can't do. And that's where I think the idea of it being taught in schools, I don't think they're planning on putting together a class called Transgender and You Understanding People That Are Different. I think what they're doing is acknowledging the fact that transgender people exist and understanding that you may have gone to grade school with Bill, but by the time you graduated, Bill is Christina. And I don't think it's a conversation about, oh, we have to talk about trans people every day and those types of things. I think it's an understanding and tolerance. And being taught at home, you're right. You're absolutely right, Todd. People need to take the responsibility at home and also make sure that if they don't understand why it's not okay to run this down, to make sure that they explain to their kids, school may be the only hope for some of these kids to ever learn about these things. It's a weird subject. We're all growing in a time where growth seems incredibly difficult and grinding to a halt. I mean, weeks ago we were talking about, will kids even get back into school? Now that we're talking about what they can and cannot learn in school. So I think we're over school stimulated, all of us as a society. But I don't think it's necessarily we're going to teach or not teach this class. I think it's more the idea of it has to be something that's allowed to be. And the way that that's worded, putting up displays, like,
my question is, does that mean like a guy can't wear a dress if he identifies it? Would that be considered a display of his sexuality? Like, what? It's kind of vague. I don't understand exactly what that means.
And I don't think they do either.
Yeah, that's true.
And so every school district is going to come up with their own little set of, we already have school districts that are putting, saying that kids aren't dressed properly, they can't go to school. They don't like their hair, they can't go to school. This whole thing.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, how are we supposed to allow children to grow up and be responsible, considerate, and compassionate adults when they are denied learning all of the different aspects of people in society when they're young? I think kids, as adults, people are having a problem with this. I don't think kids do.
That's a good point.
They're
No, I'll tell you, from my personal experience, I grew up, one of my favorite uncles, he was gay. And I only say was because he committed suicide when I was about 12.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all right. It's a shame that it happened. But he was my favorite uncle. It did not register to me, or I did not care either way that he was gay. I loved Anson for Anson. He gave me and my brother attention, took us places, bought us things, encouraged our imagination, and just we had a lot of fun with him. And I think, so to Lola's point, I think she's right. Kids don't care, because I don't think most kids even think sexually until they're, in their teen years anyways. And I don't think it bothers them or registers with them one way or the other. They look at people for their deeds, for who the person is, not what the person is.
No, I agree with you, Tom.
I just wanted to end with this thought. I don't know if I hope they still do it. When I went to school, we had the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in homeroom. We did the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How can we have kids saying, with liberty and justice for all? Well, unless you're transgender, we don't want you displaying that. You don't get your liberty. You don't get your justice. You know what I mean? It's a little hypocritical.
It's a lot to take in. Todd, we thank you for the call because we're up against the break, man. Take care of yourself, and we appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot to this, but at the end of the day, not allowing this to be a thing that comes up in school, I think, is really a bad call for the state of West Virginia. It's not there yet, but I think it would be a bad call. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more of your phone calls next on The Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Chris Lawrence. There are 8,528 active cases of the coronavirus in West Virginia today, lowest level since Veterans Day. And today's DHHR figures indicate 285 new cases in the past 24 hours. The daily positivity rate today is 3.32%, and the numbers continue to trend in the right direction. The active case numbers have declined by 16,000 in the past 30 days. House of Delegates Health Committee forwarding a bill that calls for a study of the state's Child Protective Services, or CPS. That bill, backed by the Department of Health and Human Resources, and Associate General Counsel Cammie Chapman, told lawmakers today the agency could do the study on its own, but it wants a tie-in with the legislature.
We want you all to be our partners with that study, because the ramifications, the recommendations that come out of this study will likely come back to this body with requests to fulfill them.
And that bill passed the Health Committee earlier today. Folks in remote parts of Wayne County continue to wait on their power to be restored from those first two ice storms. Wayne County 911 Director B.J. Willow says repairs from here on out are going to bring just a handful back online.
We have a lot of haulers here that you go up there and there's only one or two houses. We had one instance where we went by a road, passed it all day long, and didn't realize it was a road because the trees had collapsed and it was snow covered. There's no tire tracks.
You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. West Virginia DNR Director Steve McDaniel asking state lawmakers for an overhaul of the state's Natural Resources Commission. That's the body that oversees season dates, bag limits, and other game and fish regulations. Currently requires one each for congressional districts and then 4 at-large appointees. McDaniel announced Sunday he's asking the legislature to restructure it and make it one representative of each of the DNR's 6 districts and 1 at-large appointment, and reduce the terms from 7 years to 4. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
AutomotiveMat.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. The NCAA announced last week the men's tournament will have limited fan attendance. Up to 25% capacity with physical distancing will be permitted at all rounds, including the Final Four. The 25% will include all participants, staff, and family members, as well as fans. Masks and physical distancing will be required. The entire tournament is taking place in Indianapolis and the surrounding area. The women's tournament will not allow fans for the first and second rounds that will be played in San Antonio, San Marcos, and Austin. There will be a 17% capacity limit for the Sweet 16 through the women's Final Four, which will all be played at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You could save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, with today's low rates, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. With a cash out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, you could consolidate and pay off high interest debt, tackle home improvements that could add value to your home, or even set aside cash for your child's future education. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this: what can give you the technology to refinance easily and save money? Rocket can. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings are based on quick loans, internal data. Points and fees may apply. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing letter. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS.consumer.access.org.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Are you or your loved ones facing a serious legal battle? The law office of Paul Harris wants you to know you aren't alone. Do you need someone that's not afraid to go to trial and fight for your rights? Attorney Paul Harris and his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering the most aggressive representation in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
This is Wheeling Fire Chief Larry Helms, reminding everyone about the seriousness of this COVID-19 in our region during these colder weather months. This virus is spreading rapidly and could put a strain on our hospitals and emergency services. I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. It's important to make sure your mask covers your nose and your mouth at all times. Wearing a mask is one of the only defensive tactics we have to slow this virus down. Remember, wear a mask, stay apart, and wash your hands.
Now's a great time to go Toyota for reliability, value, and style. And RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year, with available all-wheel drive in gas or hybrid models. Now, get up to $1,000 cash back from Toyota through March 1st. For more offers, shop Toyota's official website for deals. Buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care.
Listen to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio just the way you like it.
Don't you cry no more.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Breaking news. Thanks to my buddy Steve, who actually just texted me. I wasn't really sure what was going on, but breaking news. Tiger Woods has been injured in a rollover car accident in California. Apparently it happened earlier this morning, but details are just being released. Approximately 7:12 this morning, so around 10 a.m. here. Police responded to a single vehicle rollover traffic collision on the border of Rolling Hills Estates and Rancho Palos Verdes. There's not a lot of information here as far as Tiger goes. Just what basically I read to you. The vehicle sustained major damage. The driver and sole occupant was identified as PGA golfer Eldrick Tiger Woods. Mr. Woods was he was removed from the wreck with the jaws of life by the Los Angeles County firefighters and paramedics, and then transported to a local hospital by ambulance for his injuries. That is the latest update from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Obviously, we're here till 5. We'll continue to track that story. Like him or not, Tiger Woods is on the Mount Rushmore of sports in the world. Not just America, in the world. Lola, we have a phone call back there?
Yep, it's Bill.
Hey, Bill, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Rick, I'd like to say two things about kids in school today.
Okay, yeah, it's a hot topic, man. Let it go. What do you got?
Yeah, they can't make simple change. You know, you go into a fast food restaurant and let's say you get something for $3.76 and you give them a $5, they're lost until it comes up on the cash register how much to give back, you know? So I don't know what they're teaching them in school, and these kids grow up to be teachers, and they know even less than the last teacher did. Where are we going with arithmetic, simple math, stuff like that?
All good point, Bill. Look, I'll be the first to admit when I look back at my high school and a lot of my college classes, I realized I took classes because I had to take them to get a piece of paper to get out of college and to get out of high school. And there's a lot of things that don't make sense to me. And one thing I was never taught how to balance a checkbook. My parents didn't teach me. They weren't particularly great with money. And I had to learn how to do that stuff on my own. And they didn't teach it in college either. And so when you look at it, like you said, if I pay for it with a 5 and it's $2.67, a lot of kids don't know how to do that. But I don't necessarily blame the kids. I don't think kids are.
No, it's the teachers.
Well, I don't know that it's the teachers either. I think it's the curriculum. I think we need to look, and this isn't just a West Virginia problem. It's a national issue. I think some of the thoughts of how to get out of high school are so antiquated, because that's the end. The end game is to graduate from high school, and that could be the end of your academic career. It could be really just the second step in your long academic career. That's your jumping off point as a kid. Your jumping off point, your first one is graduate from high school, and some kids go the GED route, but graduation of some sort is your first jumping off point. A lot of kids, and Lola and I discussed this last week, why we don't push trade schools harder, I have no idea, because they certainly seem to be the heroes of a lot of this pandemic. Tell me one plumber that went out of business during the pandemic. No,
Right.
they're
or
still pipes.
electrician or whatever.
Yeah. So I think it's not so much a teacher problem, because I know a lot of educators, not just in West Virginia, but educators all over the country that I have friends that I went to college with or high school with or met along the way that are educators. And I think that's an incredibly difficult job. And I think if you sat down in a room of 10 teachers, not administrators, not people that make policy, but 10 teachers of all different varieties, years of experience, and you said to them, are we teaching the right classes in school? I bet you'd have a bunch of those teachers say, well, we could be teaching this, this, and this that are more valuable life skills. And that's the problem. Life skills don't get taught.
You need to have, math skills to do carpentry work,
Absolutely. Just to give you a quick little anecdote from my life, this is how I had to learn how to do things like this. After high school and through college, I worked at a place called Ralph's Army Surplus in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And they cut custom foam for seat cushions. Like you could bring if your couch cushions needed new foam in them, you'd bring them in. I would have to measure your couch cushions and then cut the foam to size. Well, let me tell you, learning to use a ruler and a pen correctly to make sure that I cut that foam to size, because once you cut it, you can't just add to it. Once it's cut, it's destroyed. And if you're wrong, you just wasted a piece of foam. Well, I did not learn how to do that in high school. I learned how to do it from someone who had to teach me how to do it, because they don't teach you the proper way to do that. And really, that was the basic I ever had to learn about it, because I didn't end up using much math other than addition and subtraction and multiplication in my everyday life. But I also became a radio broadcaster where we don't need much of that.
No, journalism just is a dying field, isn't it? I mean, to go into journalism, unless you're in the big city, it's tough, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's tough, yes, but it also is dying. Journalism, as it's true in its true standard, doesn't necessarily exist. You have, really, if you look, and you mentioned the big cities, where journalism actually exists are cities like Wheeling and Parkersburg. And I mean, my buddy Steve that'll be on with us at 4 o'clock, he is a true journalist. That kid goes and listens to meetings and writes down information and comes up with, here's the information that I took from this meeting. True journalism exists in places like this. Fake journalism exists at Fox News and CNN, and that, I mean, that's what...
Well, I guess what I meant by that, not to interrupt you, is you can't make a living at journalism.
No, you can't. It's tough. It's tough. You look at the years just on the people here. Howard and Bill have been in this business for a lot longer than I have, and I'm on my 21st year. And if I keep my fingers crossed, maybe I get to year 40 and can retire, maybe. But
unless you get a gig in New York City where you can make $250 a year, and be a high school dropout like Curtis Sliwa.
Hey,
who's great at talk radio.
Look, $250 in New York City didn't get you anywhere. Doesn't get you anywhere. Many years ago, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I guess really almost like 7, I flirted with the idea of moving to Los Angeles and working for Sirius XM. And I can tell you that Sirius XM offered me enough to live under the poverty level in Los Angeles. Had I been making that kind of money living in Wheeling, I've got no problems. I got no problems at all. So really, it all depends on where you live and how you do it. The satisfaction out of kids going to want to be journalists these days has really gone by the way of social media, blogging and tweeting and posting. I know it sounds crazy because we look at social media as a form of entertainment or vile whatever, depending on how you look at it. But that's where journalism has moved to. I mentioned before I took your call, Tiger Woods just was involved in an accident. And you heard about that. It first was reported via tweet. Journalism isn't just take your pencil and paper and go to a council meeting anymore, although that does still exist, thank goodness that it does. But it comes from us to us in different forms. And kids that are coming out of college right now want to be journalists. They're tweeting, they're TikToking, they're Facebooking, they're Instagramming. That's what journalism has become, and it's a whole part of our culture moving.
Their own podcast.
Podcasting. It's all part of our culture moving forward. What we teach has to change with the times in which we live. And I assure you, if you go to a college campus right now and you sit into Journalism 101, they will discuss with kids tweeting and in ethics in your tweets, in your Facebook posts, and in your blog posts. It's not just about here's how to write a newspaper article that fits inside this box in a newspaper. And that's really where it's different. We got to grow. Go ahead. I'll give you last thought here as we're up against.
Yeah, Rick, here's what I think should be taught. They should, from first grade on, kids should be weaned in either Spanish and or Cantonese until they graduate from high school. That way we'll have the same edge as the Japanese kids and the Chinese kids and the people from Mexico who can speak two languages, while all of us can barely speak one.
I actually couldn't agree with you more. Thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Learning multiple languages pays it tenfold, especially as we continue to move forward into 2021. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more of your calls next on The Watchdog.
If you don't like the way I'm living.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
This morning, that according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. ABC's Alex Stone is in Los Angeles with more.
Michelle, this is developing right now. We have word from the LA County Sheriff's Department that around 7 o'clock this morning, they responded to a single vehicle rollover in Rancho Palos Verdes in southern LA County. When they got there, there was major damage to the vehicle. The driver and only person in the car was Tiger Woods. He was extricated from the wreck using the jaws of life by LA County firefighters and paramedics, then sent to a hospital with his injuries. The crash is being investigated right now by the LA County Sheriff's Department. Michelle?
Today, Senate lawmakers from Joint Oversight hearing heard from law enforcement about security failures of that January 6th attack. Former House Sergeant at Arms Paul Irving testifying before the attack that he conferred with now former Chief Stephen Sund and Senate Sergeant at Arms Michael Stenger on whether to accept an offer for 125 National Guard members.
We looked at the offer in light of the existing intelligence. And the collective decision amongst the three of us was that the intelligence did not warrant the National Guard.
All resigned after the riots and testified today. It appears the attack was planned. We're also learning more about some of the suspects involved.
Thomas Webster is a retired NYPD officer who provided security at both City Hall and Gracie Mansion. Despite that background, he's charged with attacking a Capitol Police officer January 6th with a pipe. Mayor Bill de Blasio said there were no active duty cops in D.C. that day.
We're still waiting to see if there's anyone else that we don't know about yet. But as of this moment, we do not know of anyone who works for us at the PD who was present.
Webster's charged with attacking a federal officer. He's among several former cops charged in the siege.
ABC's Aaron Katursky. You're listening to ABC News.
Hello, friend Pat Boone here. Silver is creating lots of excitement. You know why? Because the price of silver is extremely attractive compared to gold. So, I called my friends at Swiss America to get the scoop on whether this silver opportunity is for real. What I discovered blew my mind. For example, today silver faces a huge shortage due to rising demand by solar, electric, military, and computers. It's all covered in a new silver report from Swiss America, which explains why silver prices cannot stay at this level for very long. And get this report explains how to use the historic gold to silver ratio strategy to grow your holdings, even if precious metal prices stay put. Call 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. Get a free copy of the silver report now. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646.
A signaling from the head of the Federal Reserve that it might take some time for the economy to bounce back from this pandemic.
Chairman Jerome Powell says the economy is a long way from the Fed's employment and inflation goals. He says it's going to take some time for substantial progress to be made. Powell does take hope, though, in the COVID vaccine rollout as a step toward recovery. Investors have reacted to Powell's remarks today by unloading some stocks.
ABC's Jim Ryan. A promising sign for COVID-19 vaccine rollout. One of them could be available in more places that don't have special cold storage.
The New York Times is reporting that the FDA has told Pfizer that it plans to allow the company to begin storing its COVID-19 vaccine at standard freezer temperatures instead of the ultra-cold temperatures currently required. The change means the vaccine could be stored at locations that don't have access to specialized freezers needed to keep it between negative 112 degrees and negative 76 degrees Fahrenheit. This comes after Pfizer submitted paperwork to the FDA saying they've found the vaccine can be stored at standard freezer temperatures for up to 2 weeks. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
The World Bank is threatening to stop its funding for Lebanon's COVID vaccine program. That after reports of favoritism. Lawmakers who are not eligible yet have been accused of jumping the line and getting the shot. The World Bank has set aside $34 million to vaccinate 2 million Lebanese. This is ABC News.
Microban 24 protects against Staphylococcus aureus and Enterobacter aerogenes bacteria, but does not provide 24-hour protection against viruses. Every time you touch a surface, you leave behind bacteria. To keep surfaces sanitized all day, use Microban 24 sanitizing spray. Spray on hard surfaces to kill 99.9% of viruses and bacteria initially, including the virus that causes COVID-19. Once dry, Microban 24 sanitizing spray is effective for 24 hours on bacteria when used as directed.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Governor Mike DeWine said yesterday more doses of the coronavirus vaccine will soon become available for a number of reasons. Kevin Landers from affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus takes a closer look.
The state set aside thousands of doses to get teachers and staff back in school by March 1st.
When we hit March, those 50 to 60,000 vaccines a week that were reserved for schools are now no longer going to be needed for schools. And so you're going to have those available March 1.
Now, the governor also said Pfizer is increasing production, so that should allow more vaccines. And Johnson & Johnson's shot could hit Ohio in March.
And it's the time of year when potholes can cause serious damage to a car. In fact, there were 15 flat tires yesterday morning on I-75 in northwest Ohio. Roxanne Elias with affiliate WTOL-TV in Toledo has more with ODOT spokeswoman Rebecca Giangelo.
It happens a lot, and with more temperature changes on the way, it's about to happen a whole lot more.
We know that potholes are kind of just a part of life. Unfortunately, we live in a climate that whenever we see that freeze thaw happen, the pavement does start to break up in areas, especially where it's already weak.
It's the Ohio Department of Transportation that maintains state and federal roads, and they say they're proactively working to make these fixes before it gets any worse. I'm Roxanne Elias.
And I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
For generations, Made in America has stood for quality and craftsmanship in manufacturing, food production, technology, and construction.
The Made in America label has brought our country economic security and our innovations to the world.
Made in America isn't just a slogan, it's the story of our country, the men and women who sacrificed to build our nation.
It's our commitment to hard work, ingenuity, and to making things better than the way we found them.
America is ready to get back to work.
And we can start by rebuilding our infrastructure,
strengthening our manufacturing manufacturing base.
And investing in our businesses and our communities.
Made in America means hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country.
It means new transportation, clean energy, and telecommunications networks.
It means a healthier environment.
National security and economic freedom.
That's good for our families, good for the world,
And good for our future.
Let's get America back to work.
Let's invest in Ohio.
Let's invest in us. Learn more at let'sinvestinus.com. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy with a scattered shower or two. A daytime high near 43. Overnight low of 31 degrees under partly cloudy skies. You'll see the chance for a few scatters around, otherwise mostly cloudy for your Wednesday, but highs in the low to mid 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. It's not red. It's not blue. It's just real. Real Big Talk with Big Rick continues now on the Watchdog.
Here we stand, roads apart, hearts broken in two.
This is Real Big Talk. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Breaking news. Tiger Woods has been injured in a single vehicle accident. If you look at any news source right now, they have a picture of the vehicle, and it does not look good at all. This was the statement that was just released from Tiger's agent, Mark Steinberg. Quote, Tiger Woods was in a single car accident this morning in California where he suffered multiple leg injuries. He is currently in surgery, and we thank you for your privacy and support. I remember distinctly, in fact, the friend that I was with, we were on our way to the Pitt WVU game on a Thanksgiving night, a cold Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, it was so cold. The night that Tiger ended up getting assaulted with a golf club by his then wife, and she was hitting the vehicle as he was leaving. And I thought, and we all thought as Americans, as people that even remotely are interested in sports or just remotely interested in American culture, well, this seems really bad. And then Tiger fought his way back. I mean, you want to talk about having to fall on a sword. Tiger Woods fought his way back into the hearts of Americans somehow. After all the things that came out about him, there is a documentary on right now. I think it's on HBO. It is just a scorcher about the life and times of Tiger Woods. He does not care for the documentary, by the way. It shows a lot of things about his life that you go, you know, even though he's Tiger Woods and has all of this, I don't know that I'd want to be Tiger Woods. I can understand how that can happen. Right now, the most concerning thing, if nothing else, is Tiger Woods is a human being, and we all hope that as a human being, that he's just fine. And I'm not accusing him of anything. I will give you the latest updates of what has been released. Just about 30 minutes ago, An LA County Sheriff's Department source told TMZ Sports they do not believe that alcohol was involved, but they did not say whether any other substance possibly was. Tiger Woods has been known to take a sleeping pill. And I'm not speculating. I take the same sleeping pill. And if I don't sleep at all. And it does have weird effects on some people. Luckily, for me, it doesn't seem to. But could that be a factor? This was 7:12 in the morning. Either Tiger got a good night's sleep and he got up to go practice. There does look to be suitcases and bags that have been taken out of that now totaled vehicle. So maybe he was on his way somewhere. We have no information necessarily on where he was going or where he was coming from. But we do know that he had to, that the authorities had to use the jaws of life to get him out, and then he was transported to a local hospital and is now in surgery on his legs. When you're Tiger Woods, I would imagine you get the very best in immediate care. But if you need immediate surgery, that is a bad, bad sign. We'll keep you posted as that continues to develop. But I did want to mention this. One of the callers that we had in the last hour talked about journalism. How difficult is it to be a journalist, to make a living being a journalist? Well, I want to throw this out there to you. This accident happened at 7:12 in the morning in LA, which made it 10:12 here. We went on the air at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, that's 4 hours later. And not a mention of this had occurred. And Lola will tell you, when we're not talking, I am continuously scrolling my phone for breaking news. And that's why if nothing else, Lola, we have scooped some news on this show right away. Right away. Things that happen. I'm 1,000% sure that Eddie Van Halen story we broke just before maybe anybody else anywhere close to this valley we were talking about. So that's kind of something that is important when you're a live and local news station. But that caller asked about journalism. Rest assured, whether it ever gets put out there, we ever find out all the details about what's happening with this Tiger Woods situation, 4+ hours had gone by before this was public information. And trust me, there are plenty of reporters in LA to scoop this story. The PR team that had to get ahead of this before it hit the press is immense. A couple of my friends and I are talking in a chat about this particular thing. I would venture to say attorneys from Nike and from Tiger Woods Inc. or whatever the name of his company is, they were way ahead of this before any reporter. Trust me, there's a reason you found out 4+ hours later from me than when it happened. And we were about 4 minutes after the first tweet came out to talk about it. Being a journalist takes a lot of, at least it used to take a lot of training. You used to have to understand the difference between trying to sell newspapers and also telling the truth. Those days are long gone. Long gone. Look at just take for example, just because it happened sort of in the same area, the whole situation with Kobe Bryant's helicopter going down. People were posting the photos of a smoking helicopter before the police were even able to arrive. That's not journalism. That's not journalism. That's different. That is much different than what it's like to be a journalist. And yeah, there is nothing sensational about going to a council meeting and listening to stories of filling potholes or snow removal. It's not sexy to go to the city council meeting and talk about filling potholes But that's where journalism gets born. That's where journalists are made. That's how you start with that. And it really is a much bigger factor in small towns where you have the local people that go and do stories. They meet the people that are a part of the stories. They interview them, they talk to them. And assure you that whoever was the first person to tweet out the information about Tiger Woods today probably either was owed one or paid dearly to be that first person to do it. Because the whole world went to that guy's Twitter or that girl's Twitter. I'm not sure who it was. But that's how journalism happens. That is how journalism happens. 304-214-1600. You're welcome to call in. Great callers today. Always. You are more than welcome. You're allowed to differ in opinion. You're allowed to say what you want. When we come back, we're going to talk about something's going on at Ohio State. Also, welcome to ONN. Happy to have the Ohio News Network now part of the Watchdog. We'll be back with some Ohio State information next on the Watchdog.
Wake up to the Ohio Valley's favorite morning show, The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Catch Biff Leonard on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Weekday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio. Just the way you like it.
Standing in the rain with his head hung low, couldn't get a ticket. It was a sold out show. Heard the roar of the crowd, he could picture the scene. Put his ear to the wall, and like a distant scream, he heard one guitar just blew him away. Saw stars in his eyes, and the very next day bought a beat up 6-string in a secondhand store. Didn't know how to play it, but he knew for sure that one guitar felt good in his hands. It didn't take long to understand. Just one guitar, sung way down low.
I'm Big Rick, that's Lola, and this is Real Big Talk. 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600 is our phone number. Text it, call it, or get in the comments on our Facebook page. The stream is live over there. If you so desire to look at my face while we do this show, you can certainly do that over on our Facebook page. Just find the Watchdog, like the page, and then you'll be notified every time the show comes on, or any of our programs come on for that matter. We also invite you to our new website. We got a new look, watchdognetwork.com. Nice and easy to use. And I mentioned before, we want to welcome ONN, the Ohio News Network, now joining us on the station. It is our goal. This is a station for the Valley. Yes, we sit on Main Street in Wheeling, but we understand that there are a lot of people from Ohio that join us every day. So we want to make sure we're covering as much of our valley as we can. So if you want to check out and see what Ohio News Network is all about, you can do so at onnradio.com or just listen. We play it every hour. We play an update every hour now, and that's good. Speaking of Ohio, this is I didn't imagine that for whatever reason we would get into a lot of journalism talk today, but it just seems to have been a thing that made itself part of the show, and that's fine. The show belongs to you guys. We are simply the drivers. The show belongs to the Valley, the listeners. 304-214-1600. George Clooney to produce docuseries on Ohio State sexual abuse scandal. This is going to ruffle a lot of Ohio State fan feathers. According to the Hollywood Reporter, George Clooney will produce a docuseries on the allegations of sexual abuse within the Ohio State Athletic Department. Of course, a lot of that had been publicized, and it had been going an ongoing investigation for a lot of years. This is not going to be flattering for Ohio State fans. I have so many friends in my life that are Ohio State fans, and I will say this. Probably some of the most overly passionate, I'm trying to find the right words to describe my Ohio State friends. Is overly passionate, does that sell it? I mean, you're from Michigan.
They're zealots.
Okay, we'll go with zealots. They are. You are. You are. If you are an Ohio State fan, you probably are a zealot. And you know what? Fandom is important in life. So I don't hold your incredible fandom against you. Ohio State could beat Michigan 52-10, and somehow you would manage to find all the things that Ohio State did wrong from their fans. They could win by 42. Not enough. Not enough. They could be playing Elkhorn State and give up a touchdown, and it's the end of the world for Ohio State fans. How can we give up a touchdown to this team? They stink. But at the end of the day, the culture at Ohio State has been one marred in controversy for a lot of different reasons. And when a guy like George Clooney decides that this is a project that he's going to take up, I always am interested to find out what the reason is. But he is going to take up this docuseries based on the October 2020 Sports Illustrated story by John Weatherhan, which detailed allegations of sexual abuse within the university's athletic department committed by sports doctor Richard Strauss. Sometimes you end up a journalist just simply because you can. Now, I like George Clooney. I have no reason to say that I'm not a fan of George Clooney. I just watched Oceans 11, 12, and 13 recently and realized I like the films. I can't think of one thing that Clooney's done that I really didn't like. I mean, I even see him, like, if I am looking for something to put on to fall asleep to, hell, he was in an episode of The Golden Girls. How old is George Clooney?
He's older.
I mean, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
And he never grows old.
No. I mean, that guy, and let's face it, this isn't a sexual thing. He's a good-looking guy. Dude gets better with age. I look like the world's oldest baby as I get older when I shave my face. That guy looks better and better the older he gets. Some people have it, some people don't. But what he does is he can create his own sense of journalistic need because he has that kind of clout. Do I care how George Clooney presents this scandal? No, I wish it wasn't a scandal. I wish this never happened. People getting sexually abused is a terrible thing, regardless of where it is. And the stories need out. They do. If those stories don't get out, we never realize how often it happens. I mean, we have hard conversations sometimes with people on this station, on the show, about things we don't want to talk about. And obviously, sexual misconduct, sexual abuse. This month, we've talked quite a bit about violence in teen dating. It's an awful subject to talk about, but if we don't talk about it, we don't know the signs. But I have a feeling that what happened at Ohio State is just the tip of the iceberg for how often this happens at major universities. I mean, you obviously think about what happened at Penn State, and that is, you don't want to say it's a whole different animal because sexual misconduct is sexual misconduct. Some can be worse than others. Some could be inflicted on more vulnerable people than others. But it's bad. It's bad across the board. Last year, Ohio State finalized a $40.9 million settlement with 162 survivors related to the sexual abuse allegations against Strauss. The university investigation found that Strauss abused students during his time working at OSU from 1978 to 1998. And the university administration failed to appropriately respond. That's 20 years. 20 years. You're telling me nobody saw anything in 20 years?
They had turned him in, and the school just turned a blind eye to it.
For 20 years.
I know, but, it was such a sensitive subject initially, 20 years ago, that I think there were a lot of kids, too, that were afraid to say anything. I mean, their scholarships perhaps hung on in the balance. And look at the scandal with the Olympic gymnasts.
Yeah,
that's another. Do they dare say anything? They went to the IOC and complained, or the U.S. Gymnastic Association. And it was like, yeah, we'll look into it. Just keep your mouth shut.
Unreal.
Well, and
it is. It's unreal. And I think about, and just compare, it's hard to compare in the moment the two things, but I think about when everything shook out at Penn State. I remember being glued to my television. Is that whole thing, they went to Joe Pa's house and there's television cameras everywhere, and I don't know what anybody's talking about. That's BS. Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. And that went on for longer than 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
The secrets that universities hold, like people always point to, if you're non-religious, and sometimes even when people are religious, they always point to the Vatican. What does the Vatican know? The Vatican had to know this. They have to know this. They have buried treasure in the basement of the Vatican. Da Vinci Code. It's the same at colleges. These huge colleges can hide things that most places can't. Mm-hmm. When you have 30,000 students, you have blocks and blocks, almost a whole city. That's basically, Morgantown is a lot like this too, and I'm not accusing anything happening in Morgantown. All I'm saying is it's a small city, but its biggest employer, its biggest everything is based on a university. Universities has so much power. You don't think Columbus, Happy Valley, Morgantown have these kinds of incredibly huge opportunities to make things go away? This should be an interesting docuseries by George Clooney. I will absolutely watch it. And I know it's going to be hard to watch. It's an unpleasant subject. It's going to be hard to watch, but I think that George Clooney will do a good job with it. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes down. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. More phone calls and more subjects. 304-214-1600. This is The Watchdog.
This is your VSIN action update on the Watchdog. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
The Penguins have won 2 straight games. They're minus 105 with the money line at Washington minus 115. 6.5 under the total at the Capital One Arena. These two teams give up a lot of goals. Washington, number one of the East Division, giving up 60 goals this season. Pittsburgh, number two, giving up 53 goals. Both teams with a -2 goal differential. College basketball today, Penn State losers of 5 of 6, a 6-point road favorite at 3-15 Nebraska. The total 142. West Virginia, 7.5-point road favorite at TCU. For VSiN.com, I'm Mike Sennett on the Watchdog.
Island Pawnbrokers is now your local firearm dealer. In a pinch? Need cash quick? See us before going to the big box stores. Paying top dollar for firearms, gold, silver, tools, coins, and electronics. Don't lose your good credit. Let us give you instant cash. Stop by 2 North Broadway Street on Wheeling Island, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Island Pawnbrokers. Stop in for instant cash.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel in yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim.
Does this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
The Mountaineers look to continue their winning ways in the Lone Star State with a date tonight against TCU. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans struggle with hunger? Yet more than 40% of the food we produce is thrown out. At Kroger, we know we can do something about this. We're donating more food to local food banks through our partnership with Feeding America. And we're working with World Wildlife Fund to end food waste. But we can't do it alone, and we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales, plus rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It is game night for the Mountaineer basketball team. West Virginia playing its second game of its 3-game tour to Texas tonight. They're in Fort Worth, and they'll take on the Horned Frogs of TCU. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6. The opening tip is set for 7 o'clock. TCU is expected to return this game to Morgantown next week. So far this season, TCU has struggled. They're 11-9 overall. They are 4-7 in Big 12 conference play. One of the reasons they struggle is because they're just so young. They only have one senior on their roster, and according to Ken Palm, the Frogs rank number 319 out of 345 teams in the country when it comes to experience. The strength of this team is in its backcourt. They've got a couple of good guards, Big 12 freshman Mike Miles and junior R.J. Nembhard. Nembhard currently 4th in the Big 12 in scoring, just a hair under 17 points per game, and the freshman Miles has already had 4 20-point games so far this season. They've got a talented big man, 7-footer Kevin Samuel, career leader at TCU in blocked shots. He's currently 6th most when it comes to blocks among active players. So that'll be a good matchup between Samuel and West Virginia's Derek Culver. Shout out going to WVU sophomore guard Deuce McBride. He was named as a co-recipient of the Big 12 Conference's Player of the Week yesterday. It is the 4th time this season that a Mountaineer has either won the award outright or has shared the honor. Once again, our pregame coverage tonight begins at 6, tip 7 for West Virginia and TCU. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
This guy knows so much about sports. They based the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future off of his dream journal. He's Bill DeFabio, weekdays noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
It's a good Dave Matthews Day. Sun shining in different parts of the listening area. Just the sun at all is good for you. The vitamin D, we all need it. We all need it. I'd sit outside and listen to a Dave Matthews album tonight. I'm Big Rick, that's Lola, it's Real Big Talk. We've talked at nauseum, and unfortunately it's never going to stop because it's just going to keep rearing its ugly head. But conspiracy theories all the rage the last couple of years. Of course, QAnon being the conspiracy theory that, or theories, that has hit the spotlight the most. And I never really, everybody knows somebody who thinks 9/11 is an inside job. Everybody knows someone who has conspiracy theories. I had a kid that worked for me, I guess that's probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Absolutely, you couldn't convince him that it wasn't an inside job. I mean, you could show him the video, show him the evidence, like, that's all fake. That was put together by so-and-so and blah, 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 blah. Some people you're just not going to be able to convince. Although everybody may have a quirk or two and think that something that they've seen isn't the way it appears, but this one is going to blow your mind, Lola. You're not going to believe this. We've talked a lot about Texas in the last week, of course, a lot of the state hit with at least 4 inches of snow. We laugh about 4 inches of snow here, but in reality, Texas can't do anything about it. They don't have plows, they don't have salt, and they have had a hell of a difficult time pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. Good news is, it's 80 degrees warmer today than it was 1 week ago. It does create flooding issues and things like that for Texas. Don't get me wrong, that 80 degrees isn't the perfect, ideal thing, but it's going to warm a lot of people up. Some people still don't have power. It's a lot easier to survive when it's 80 degrees outside than when it's 5. So be thankful for the fact that they are in the thaw. And this gave us a lot of different stories. At least 58 people died during that incident in Texas over the last week, some of hypothermia, some for different reasons. But we can all agree it was bad all the way around. It did give us a wonderful, magnificent story about Ted Cruz. It would have been more fun if he went on a cruise. That would have been the only thing that could have made that story better is that if he left to go on a cruise and his name was Ted Cruz. That could be the only thing that made his Getaway
That is
better.
a gift that keeps on
It
giving.
is. It really is.
Well, he claims he was down there because his best friend from college was down there too. They all went together.
Yeah. Look, you can't even lie. Republicans are calling him out on it. Like, you can't lie about this so much. That even people that should have your back don't.
I know.
The greatest nugget of the whole thing is the fact that his dog's name is Snowflake. Still my favorite. However, this may have one-upped it. I mentioned it to you yesterday that Ted Cruz got to enjoy a mariachi band playing on his lawn to remind him that he was not, in fact, enjoying a Mexican getaway, but due to guilt and shame had to come right back to the United States. Well, this is just a fun little nugget to throw at you. It turns out that mariachi band, Mariachi Mi Mexico is the name of the band, they actually took a $100 pay cut just so they could show up and be a part of that. And that's actually a story, that they took a pay cut to come and play on his lawn.
Well, I'm thinking people would have done it for free.
Well, I not only that, I think they probably could have capitalized on that. Just if you'd have put a hat right in front of where you were playing and just had people throw a couple bucks in, and you probably would have made that money back and then some. But it turns out that isn't even the craziest story about the Texas snow. There are many people, conspiracy theorists, that think the snow is fake and was sent by Bill Gates or the government. You want to talk about people that might be a little loose from reality. Oh, hell, I'm a little loose from reality. This is really far gone. There are people going on TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter claiming that the severe snow was actually fake and government generated as part of a sinister plot. Yes. Instigated by shadowy elites, presumably intentionally plunging Texas into its present state of chaos. They think that Democrats did it. That's a thing that's happening now. There are people in Texas who believe the snow was sent by the government. Now, if we have the power to make it snow in all of Texas, which is as big as its own country, but we can't get clean water to Flint, Michigan, but they can make it snow in Texas for 3 days and the temperatures be in the teens and 20s. We want to talk about things that people need to learn in school. We were talking about that in the first hour of the show today, things that kids don't know. Kids don't know how life works if they think that the government can send snow when it wants to. A lot of people do. They think that this whole thing was generated by the government to make Republicans look bad, make their power grid look bad, and make them look like they're a weakened infrastructure. And then, of course, people are blaming Joe Biden for this. This is incredible. This is incredible. 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Have you ever heard of anything so preposterous? I mean, this is so far out there.
Well, it's no worse than lasers, controlled by
Oh yeah, the Jewish mega lasers that start forest fires. Yeah, that's a thing.
And running a pedophile ring out of a pizza shop in Brooklyn.
Yeah, this is where we're at. This is where we're at as a country. There are people, and not just a person. Like a person, you can go, well, that person's wacky. This is a lot of people, and they're bringing snow in their house and putting it in their microwave, turning it on, and saying, "See, it's synthetic. It doesn't melt." I don't think that's how microwaves work. Because microwaves, the idea of a microwave is to cook things from the inside out, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the consistency changes with snow, so I don't think it necessarily melts in there if you put it in the microwave. I'm not suggesting anybody tries it, but it's just a theory.
Maybe I will.
Yeah, I don't think it melts.
I'm wondering if I've ever tried to melt an ice cube for some reason, probably a drink. I don't know if I ever
Yeah,
have.
I don't know that I ever have either, but I guess in theory, if you leave an ice cube anywhere long enough that's not below 32 degrees, it will melt eventually. Well, the same thing with snow. I think if you turn the microwave on, I don't think it melts.
I'm going to try it when I get home.
Yeah.
I will let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think it. I think it'll eventually melt, like anything eventually would melt. But I don't think the microwave waves melt it. And so I think that's what they're doing. They're putting it in the microwave and it's not working. And they're like, "See, fake snow, fake news, fake snow." That's a thing. That's a thing. So there you go. Fun little experiment for everybody that wants to clean up after their kids. If I'm wrong, but go ahead and put some snow in the microwave and see what happens. 304-214-1600. This is a thing that I can't wrap my brain around. The Republican Party committee members in Pennsylvania expect to meet tomorrow night to decide whether to censure U.S. Senate Pat Toomey amid GOP backlash over his vote to convict Donald Trump during the former president's second impeachment trial. So you're saying that he's not allowed to have his own opinion on something. And I'm not necessarily a Pat Toomey guy. I'm not here to rah, he's the best. But what he did was take a look at what was going on and say, this is how I feel about it. Isn't that actually what you want out of an elected official? To not always go exactly with the party and say, hey, this seems wrong to me. And now they're about to punish the guy for doing so.
I know it.
I mean, I couldn't tell you one other thing that I go, you know what, I'm all in Pat Toomey's corner. And I realize that this isn't necessarily a West Virginia or Ohio thing. This is really an America thing. Mm-hmm. We actually have 7 people stand up and go against the party, which is actually more than I thought that they'd get.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's more than I thought they'd get for that impeachment. And I mean, that was a farce. It was a farce from the second it started. We all thought it. We all thought it. It didn't do anything but put a W in the win column for the Republicans. Democrats couldn't screw that up anymore. They could have screwed that up anymore. Like, you know what? Let's go ahead, do something we know won't work, and then build momentum for the guy we're trying to impeach.
That is true definition of insanity. Yeah. Doing something over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not a Rhodes Scholar, but I saw it. Everybody saw it. And that perseverance on Mars could have been there in advance. He'd have seen it. I mean, that's how far away it was. So dumb. And so now Pat Toomey, who actually spoke up and said, well, this is how I feel about it. And I don't disagree with Pat Toomey. I absolutely agree. It was wrong. It was, and I do blame Trump for that. I do. But the guy is about to get censured because he looked at facts and went, this is how I feel. Isn't that what being on a jury is for? Isn't that what it's for? And now you're about to get censured because you had an independent thought. What is that teaching anybody about politics? What is that teaching anybody about bullying? That's a bully move.
Yes, it is. They had a good teacher.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't explain this.
They're all a bunch of lily-livered hypocrites. That's on both sides. I'm sorry, on both sides.
Well, no, it's true. Both sides to me come across as incredibly weak. I mean, I couldn't sit here and say, you know who's real strong? Blah. No one has emerged as the strong one. I mean, honestly, the strongest one, as much as I hate to admit it, is Trump, because he just doesn't care. I'm Teflon Don. It rolls off him, whatever it is, no matter how bad it is. At least in the political ring. I think in his personal life, things might get a little more hectic now that his tax returns are out, and they will be, and things could turn for him there. But politically, the guy just doesn't care. And he's the only one that has that. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's amazing that he gets away with the stuff.
Because he doesn't have anything to lose.
Nothing.
He's making all the money off of this.
And he's the one that's winning. He's the one that's winning. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get in a couple more topics. At 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Stephen Allen Adams and find out what's going on in Charleston. It's all happening on the Watchdog.
Rayland. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Rayland trusts the Watchdog.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing.
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
At Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Get softer skin and cleaner clothes with a Morton Water Softener. Water softeners remove minerals and will eliminate hard water stains and give you better tasting water. The 27,000 grain unit is $319.99 after 11% off. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through February 27th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. I'm not buying till I checked on Ford.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doan Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doan Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doan Ford. Online at doanford.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doan Ford.
When winter weather strikes the Ohio Valley, you can trust the Storm Tracker 7 weather team to help you plan your day. Our experienced meteorologists stay connected with you on TV, online, and on social. Get your weather information straight from a local source. We'll help you be prepared and make sure you'll never be surprised.
And we do expect dry conditions overnight, tonight, and all day tomorrow.
Meteorologist Dr. Dave Walker, Aaron Mylar, and me, Zach Petty, the Storm Tracker 7 weather team, working for you.
See if you can spot this one.
Slow hand. Eric Clapton. Never forget, Rolling Stone magazine trashed Layla. Turned out okay for Clapton. And for Rolling Stone magazine, for that matter. Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. It's Real Big Talk. Getting ready as we come across the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to Stephen Allen Adams about things going on in the state. Of course, session is in the 60 days of Stephen Allen Adams never leaving the Capitol. So we'll get in on that kind of stuff. But before we get there, a few things worth mentioning, state-related. Activists rallied for a $15 minimum wage outside of the Charleston, West Virginia office of Senator Joe Manchin. That happened on yesterday as they were trying to persuade him to reverse his opposition to the wage hike. This $15 an hour thing is getting closer. As it's part of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that seems to be moving pretty swiftly. It seems to be moving pretty swiftly. This is the part I think a lot of people may get hung up on. I don't think too many Democrats, if any, are going to step up and say no. because at this point, the Democrats are getting everything that they want so far. Things are, come one way or the other, it looks to be moving forward the way most Democrats seem to be comfortable with it moving. I mean, I think it's going to the House Friday. I think it's Friday that all of this package is going to the House. So we'll see how that goes. Mitt Romney, by the way, is pushing for a $10 an hour minimum wage increase. You would think that somewhere this crowd could meet in the middle, because $7.25 is not enough. $15 doesn't seem like it'll do any justice to getting jobs kickstarted. Maybe there's a happy medium. I feel like somewhere there is probably. But will we even get a chance to see the two sides talk about it? I don't know. How fast these things push through? I mean, it's honestly, the things are moving so fast right now in Washington, which is the craziest sentence I think I've said in the past couple of weeks. This stuff's pushing so fast, so quickly, that it's actually hard to know what will happen and will they find a common ground. Republican Senators Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton are proposing to raise the federal minimum wage to $10, but only if businesses are required to use the internet-based E-Verify system to prevent employers from hiring undocumented workers. So there's always a caveat.
What is wrong with that? I back when immigration was quite the topic several years ago, that was brought up then, and employers went, oh, that's too much trouble for us. Well, yeah, if you're hiring people from down at Lowe's, in front of Lowe's, to do construction or day labor, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, that might be an inconvenience for you. But, if you have a factory and you have to file paperwork on an employee anyway, what the hell?
Yeah.
I just get tired, and, it's always a big, ConAg, and places like that, it's just too much. It's too much trouble, That's why we need a stipulation inside an immigration plan for day laborers. Because I don't care, everybody goes, you're stealing jobs away from
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In California, an investigation is underway into the single-car accident involving golf legend Tiger Woods in Los Angeles County. He was rushed to the hospital. The PGA star is in surgery right now. ABC's Alex Stone has more from Los Angeles.
Tiger Woods' manager saying he's been in surgery for injuries to his legs. The LA County Sheriff's Department saying Woods had to be extricated from the vehicle. The crash happened on a windy road in Rancho Palos Verdes, a pricey area of southern LA County. Woods' vehicle on its side, it appears to have flipped maybe more than once. The airbags appear to have gone off. Woods was taken to a hospital via ambulance. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
ESPN golf analyst Andy North says Woods was rehabbing recently and hoping to play more tournaments.
He seemed to be in a really good spot then and was excited about working hard to get back to trying to play.
Woods is 45 years old. President Biden with White House domestic policy advisor Susan Rice holding a virtual roundtable today with Black essential workers. Participant Melanie Owens is a pharmacist at a Walgreens on the south side of Chicago.
It's been a really tough year for us. But recently it's been very rewarding to start being able to go to the long-term care facilities and vaccinate the residents there. And also now it's available in the stores.
A Senate inquiry into the January 6th Capitol attack, meantime, is revealing new details about an intel alert beforehand.
An FBI warning about the potential for violence on January 6th did reach Capitol Police. Former Chief Stephen Sun testified, but he told a Senate hearing he personally did not see it.
I just became aware that the department was aware of that 24 hours ago. So on the 6th or the 5th or the 4th, I was not aware that memo existed.
The memo originated in the FBI's Norfolk, Virginia office and quoted online calls for violence, including one comment that said, "Be ready to fight. Congress needs to hear glass breaking."
ABC's
Aaron
out.
Katursky, ABC News, New York.
You're listening to ABC News.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in-store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
An independent investigation determined that police in Aurora, Colorado had no basis to stop and frisk Elijah McClain. McClain, a 23-year-old black man, died after being detained back in 2019. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has more.
Elijah died in August of 2019, 3 days after he was stopped by officers responding to a 911 call about a suspicious person. 3 officers wrestled him to the ground, put him in a chokehold, and handcuffed him. A medic then injecting him with ketamine, a powerful sedative. The report criticizing Aurora EMS for giving him that shot, even though he wasn't resisting.
ABC's Stephanie Ramos. A popular French actor is facing sexual abuse charges. ABC's Jason Nathanson has details.
Nominated for an Oscar for 1990's Cyrano de Bergerac. Gerard Depardieu has been indicted on rape and sexual assault charges. A judicial source from the Paris prosecutor's office confirms to ABC News. Depardieu was indicted back in December, but he hasn't been arrested. According to reports, the alleged victim, a French actress, was 22 at the time. She says Depardieu raped her at his home in Paris in 2018. Depardieu's lawyer tells AFP the actor totally disputes the accusations.
At least 160 Confederate statues and memorials have been removed from public places in 2020. The Associated Press reports the Southern Poverty Law Center keeps a running count of those symbols. This is ABC News.
Hey, Matthew, we need to restock those sleeping bags.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
One of you cover this register?
Like at Anita's outdoor store. To keep sales climbing, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is ONN. On the Ohio News Network, I'm Daniel Barnett. Governor Mike DeWine hinted yesterday at the groups of Ohioans that will soon become eligible for the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. Kevin Landers has more from affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus.
The governor says the next round of vaccines will likely be those who are 60 years old and older, and then following that, it will be 55 years and older. The governor says he is thinking about inserting some small groups into those age bands, but he would not specify what groups he's thinking about adding. From the State House, Kevin Landers.
An accountant in Columbus says many people who drew unemployment compensation last year may be in for a rude awakening when they discover it's taxable income. Karina Nova has more.
If you do owe tax money and you're unable to pay, CPA Eric Deargardner says you still need to file.
The last thing you want to do is not file and hope the problem goes away, because this is a problem that it just won't go away. And there's going to be a lot of people in this boat, unfortunately.
In that case, you can work out a payment plan with the IRS and fill out a form for a payment schedule.
I'm Karina Nova.
And a Pfizer study spanning 9 countries is underway to get answers about the safety of the COVID-19 vaccine for pregnant women, with no red flags so far. Pfizer says it also expects to begin studies of the vaccine on children between the ages of 5 and 11 over the next few months. I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
The weather will affect you every day, whether it's good or bad. The Storm Tracker 7 weather team is here to make sure you're never surprised. You can trust us to help you plan your day.
36 degrees here in Wheeling.
On TV, online, on your phone, our experienced meteorologists are here to help you prepare for what's ahead. Watch the Storm Tracker 7 weather team with Zach Petty, Aaron Myler, and me, Dr. Dave Walker. Weather coverage you can count on, working.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy with a scattered shower or two. A daytime high near 43. Overnight low of 31 degrees under partly cloudy skies. You'll see the chance for a few scatters around, otherwise mostly cloudy for your Wednesday, but highs in the low to mid 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. News, talk, sports, and rock is all right here. Right now. Back to Real Big Talk with Big Rick on the Watchdog.
Yeah, with nobody else. I drink alone.
Lonesome George. I met George Thorogood once. Twice, actually, twice. He is a very tiny man. Now, I know I'm a particularly large man, but he is a particularly tiny fellow. And he's not terribly friendly either, but the songs are timeless. I'm Big Rick, that's Lola, and this is the Watchdog Real Big Talk, and we're talking to our buddy Stephen Allen Adams. Steve is covering everything that's going on in Charleston during the session, and Steve, it is moving at the speed of light. Are you able to keep up with all this stuff?
Well, to be honest, it's kind of slowing down.
Oh, did it slow down? A
little bit.
It feels like right now that West Virginia is the belle of the national ball, and every time I read a story, it's positive about West Virginia as long as it's not done by someone in West Virginia. So that's, I mean, it does. I read a national publication the other day that talked about how West Virginia is leading the world, that's world with a W, world with vaccinations, and how well they're doing it. But then again, I read stories about how someone introduces a bill on the floor and doesn't want people to know that other people have different sexuality than them, and I realize we are worlds apart in the way the world operates and the way West Virginia operates.
Well, that's definitely true. You know, just West Virginia. You know, there's a saying with Marshall University that my wife uses sometimes, and she's a graduate from there, and it's that, you know, Marshall will always break your heart, and the phrase can sometimes be extrapolated to West Virginia sometimes. Like, even when we're doing good, sometimes we'll do something, you know, that will, like, oh man, really, guys.
Well, we Lola and I talked about that at the onset of the show, and I know there's a lot of stuff to get to, but we talked about that. What is it, Lola? Bill what?
Let me see. There's Senate Bill 11, Senate Bill 5, and House Bill 2159.
So, Steve, I'm sure you're
57.
familiar. Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with all of those.
Well, here's the thing. The way that I work in my legislative coverage is I cover things that typically make it onto a committee agenda. I don't usually jump on bills that just get introduced because anybody, any Joe Schmo can have a bill introduced. Any senator, any delegate. Yeah. You know, there's people that have bills introduced on behalf of them, such as lobbyists, things of that nature. Anybody can introduce a bill. There's usually around 2,000 bills that are introduced in any given legislative session, just about. But, and here's the dirty secret, most of those are repeats. For example, and I don't think the Senate does this, but on the House they definitely do this. If you have introduced a bill, doesn't matter whether it went on a committee agenda or not, if you introduce a bill 1 year and you're still in the House years down the road, unless you specifically ask for that bill to not be introduced, it gets automatically reintroduced anyway.
What a waste of time.
So you have a lot of recycled bills to get introduced, and people get real panicky about some of them too, and I have to explain to them, like, yeah, that bill's never going to be on a committee agenda. You're never going to see it, but they just never pull the bill. And then there's other bills that get introduced that I'm convinced that the delegate or senator knows will never make a committee agenda, but they can go back and tell their constituents, whether they're at some sort of progressive bill or some socially conservative bill, they can return home and say, I introduced this bill's got me as a lead sponsor on it, it didn't go anywhere, but I tried, and you can use that when you run for re-election. So a lot of this, unfortunately, is political, but what happens, and as you all have probably discussed, that gets picked up sometimes nationally.
Yeah.
And right now they're all focused on our vaccination effort, which is helpful because if we didn't have that right now, guaranteed there'd be a national article by some outlet pointing to this particular bill. Never mind that bill's never going to go anywhere, but just the mere fact that it's there and someone thought enough to introduce it and take time and have it drafted. That's what gets attention, unfortunately.
No, it does. I mean, yesterday Lola even mentioned it, and it's the subject of the song "Dirty Laundry." If it bleeds, it leads. I mean, it's the controversy that sells. Why did I read about this on so many West Virginia publications? Because it's something that starts a fire. The fact that it's not going to go anywhere isn't really overly mentioned. It's just, this is something that will either enrage some or, raise the ire of others. But yeah, and I had no idea. And that's why we have you. That's why you're the best at this. I have no idea how this stuff works. I'm just a guy that talks about it.
Here's the flip side of that, though. Let me tell you about a bill, and I don't have the bill number off the top of my head at the moment. But it passed the House today. There's only a couple bills that have passed the House. I've been on the Senate side this week because I've paid so much attention to the House. I thought I was being neglectful of the Senate. But on the House side, they passed a bill. And again, don't remember the bill number off the top of my head. I'd be surprised if it gets a whole lot of traction in the Senate. But it is to ban cities and county governments in the state from doing bans on things like plastic straws. Now, I hate paper straws. There's a coffee shop here in downtown Charleston, Taylor Books. Go to it, once or twice a month. They switched out maybe a year or so ago to those paper straws. All they do is deteriorate inside a coffee drink.
Yeah, I bet.
They're terrible, but there's not really any cities or counties in the state that are trying to ban plastic cups or, single-use containers or plastic straws. There is no need for this bill. other than it is kind of virtue signaling. As I was talking to an editor of mine today, it's the type of bill that, you can say that you're owning the lids on. But beyond that, but it passed almost overwhelmingly, including with some Democrats jumping on board. So,
look, I will be the first to admit I don't use straws. I don't use them. Anytime I'm offered a straw in the pandemic, I haven't really gone out to even be offered one unless I pick something up and I get a drink with it. But I don't use them because I just, for all the things that I can't do, that's one easy thing that I can do to help the environment. And that's an easy thing. But you're right, and I didn't think of it that way. Somewhere somebody's celebrating this stupid bill going, we showed those liberals we're drinking out of plastic straws forever here in West Virginia. Why? Why is that even a thing that someone would waste time writing and then waste everybody else's time reading and voting on?
Well, here's another good example, too. And this just passed the Senate today. I had a preview about it this morning's Intelligence, or I'll have a whole story about it in tomorrow's paper as well. Senate Bill 12. I think it was last week we talked about how it was funny that, at least on the House side, the Democrats were becoming sort of the fiscally conservative ones.
Yes.
And the Republicans were dropping amendments to increase the bill's price tag by $77 million to do education savings accounts. Well, on the Senate side, you would think the party of local control would defend that religiously. But instead, they passed a bill today, Senate Bill 12, that would require all county boards of health, city boards of health. Sometimes the counties and cities have a joint board of health. Sometimes multiple counties get together. Just think of your local health departments, for example. The guys and the girls that have been working so hard during this pandemic, many times undermanned and overworked for sure. And luckily, as we've talked about, deaths are coming down, hospitalizations are coming down. So a lot of that stress is coming down a little bit, though it's also being transferred to the vaccine rollout to some extent. But this bill would put any health rule developed and passed by a Board of Health, it would require or allow a county commission or a city government to basically veto that rule. And it's sort of aimed at, most won't admit this out loud, but it's kind of aimed at smoking regulations, indoor smoking regulations. Would be a big impact, actually, for the Northern Panhandle and the casinos that would probably love to have smoking back in their facilities.
Sure.
But right now, in many cases, that's prohibited by these boards of health. So in this case, it would allow those counties to basically veto those rules.
Yeah, this is all mind-blowing to me. We're talking to Stephen Allen Adams. You can read his stuff in the Intelligencer and Ogden newspapers. Around the state, he's covering the sessions going on in Charleston, trying to find out what is actually going to become a bill that gets proposed and become an actual law. One of the things that is the hot button right now, and I'll give him credit, Jim Justice is going for the gold. Like, I've never seen anybody just take this, this vaccination win, and it seems to be a win, even though, the vaccination rollout is not all Jim Justice. He's the quarterback of the team that's winning the game. He's definitely not playing all the positions, but he is doubling down on just about everything that he seems to be doing. And he had the big town hall yesterday talking about eliminating personal income tax here in the state of West Virginia. And this is being met with mixed reviews. What is your take on all of that?
Well, there are several reasons it's getting mixed reviews. Number one, he didn't announce the town hall until Monday during his normal coronavirus briefing.
I was going to say, I think I saw it probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then it started at 3.
Yeah, so you had about 4 hours or less notice to participate in this town hall that was dedicated completely to his tax reform plan. Which, to be honest, he didn't really reveal anything more than what he revealed in his state address.
I was gonna ask you that question specifically. What was there any new information in that, or was that just kind of like a, gosh darn it to heck, we're going to talk about this until I'm blue in the face? Because it didn't seem like there was a lot of new info.
Not a lot of new info, in all honesty. We still don't know where the cutoff is as far as high-income earners and low-income earners. In fact, during that town hall, he basically said he was going to cut everybody by half. The rates for income taxation. Now, during the state of state, he talked about a wealth tax, so he didn't elaborate on what that was. He kind of walked that back. It's really going to be more of a luxury tax. Now, what the difference is, I'm not entirely sure, but the point is it'd be taxing yachts and jets and the type of things that I'm sure a lot of rich West Virginians are buying.
I was going to say, what do you do with a yacht if you live in West Virginia? You don't sail it here.
Well, that's not true. You can take it out on the Ohio River, Canal River. You can take
yacht?
it to Flat Top Lake in southern West Virginia. I mean, you can take it to Summersville. I mean,
wait a minute. I think we have different definitions of a boat and a yacht. I mean, when I lived in Florida last year, and I lived on the Gulf of Mexico, I saw yachts. In fact, I think I saw Trump's yacht when I went to West Palm Beach. Those are boats that do not fit on Summersville Lake.
Okay, fair point. Maybe these are just really large pontoons.
Yeah,
but point being, like, that's what we're talking about. But he didn't go into too many details on that. He did talk a little bit more about the pop tax, the soda tax, depending on what part of the nation you're from and how you prefer to say that, which I believe he said would increase or go to 4 cents. But again, it's weird because he's being somewhat specific while not being very specific at all. There's still a lot we don't know about this plan. None of the bills have been introduced to do these things he's talking about. We're about 1/4 of the way through the 60-day legislative session. So, we've talked about how fast the session is going. Maybe the House and Senate Republicans are trying to push through especially controversial legislation early. That way they can spend time dealing with this issue in the middle of the session. That's a possibility, but we're still short of details, and apparently he may do another one of these tomorrow, perhaps. We'll see if he says anything different or gives any new details. But
yeah, it is. It's a story that a lot of people are commenting on. I've read and listened to a little bit of Howard Monroe's take here in the morning on the Watchdog, and I mean it's Howard asked the tough questions. Out of the two of us, I'm probably the one that goes more for the humor. Howard really gets into the tough questions and the hard facts about all of this. For me, I see a guy who has had a couple of wins, and he's gone from batting 250 to batting 301, and it's the biggest that it's just, why not? He's doubling down on everything. And then when I saw this, I wondered that too, because I didn't see that the meeting was even, or the town hall was going to happen until yesterday, like I said, around 11. And I wondered if that was going to be a point of contention for people to go, wait a minute, you gave us 4 hours notice for a town hall meeting? That doesn't seem right. But I think that was part of the plan.
I think your point's well taken too. Obviously, there's a lot of goodwill out there, especially in regards to vaccine rollout, especially with the numbers coming down, not just here in West Virginia as far as COVID numbers, but all over the nation. It's all good news, and I think you're right. I think he's trying to take a little bit of that goodwill that he's earned and see if he can't turn it around and try to use it for this tax reform effort, which has been tried. It's been studied, pretty much going all the way back, at least in modern history, to the administration of Governor Cecil Underwood in the late 90s. It was studied by the Manchin administration when Joe Manchin was governor. There was literally a tax reform committee of the House and the Senate that I served on as a staffer, running their social media. So this has been studied pretty much up the yin yang. And I think maybe this is the time Justice sees is the right time to finally strike on us.
Yeah, it seems as though that is the case. Stephen Allen Adams from the Intelligencer and Ogden newspapers around the state of West Virginia. What else is going on in Charleston that we may not have necessarily heard about or has been overly publicized? Because this is really, what's stealing the headlines right now? Vaccine rollout and income tax breaks. But really, what aren't we hearing about that we should be hearing about?
Well, of interest to the Northern Panhandle, I've got a story coming out tomorrow on a bill specifically dealing with exempting a certain number of above-ground storage tanks from the Above Ground Storage Tank Act, which basically provides a whole bunch of regulations and inspection criteria. This came after the 2014 water crisis in Charleston that affected 9 counties when you had like a coal cleaning chemical leak out of a storage tank along the Elk River, which was literally just half a mile away from West Virginia American Water's intake that served 9 counties. So it shut down water for just about a week. And trust me, I was here during all that, and it wasn't very much fun. Had to have my wife, who was in the Eastern Panhandle at the time, buy up a whole bunch of bottled water to bring it back to Charleston, not just for ourselves, but also to give to friends and family members, just to make sure everybody had clean water during that time. So it was not a lot of fun. So in the wake of that, there was a bill that got passed that dealt with regulating these types of above-ground storage tanks. This bill we're talking about here would take about 800 of them out from regulation, and these are specifically brine storage tanks. Anyone in the Northern Panhandle knows, especially with hydraulic fracking and drilling, they know that brine solutions are often used in the fracking process, so they're stored in storage tanks. Brine sounds like salt water. It technically is. There's other things in it. Sometimes there's carcinogens, chemicals. You got situations where sometimes they have radioactive elements in them. So it's stuff you don't want getting in your water supply.
Sure.
Now, it's already pretty well regulated, but this would take it out of the purview of the Above Ground Storage Tank Act. So that's a bill that went through committee this morning and should be on the House floor pretty soon.
What is, it looks favorable to go through?
Yeah, and to be honest, there's probably every year now there is a bill that's been introduced to try to kind of erode that a little bit. And to be frank, I was there when it first passed. They kind of overloaded it because at the time, the water crisis was fresh in everybody's mind. So they wanted to make sure that it never happened again. And in the process, they did kind of over-regulate it. But the question is, where do you find that balance? And that's what lawmakers are going to have to figure out and make sure they're not creating a situation where these type of tanks are not inspected. And you find out you've got a situation where some of this water ends up in a local water supply, say outside of Cameron or outside of McMicken or anywhere in the Northern Panhandle or anywhere that you have these type of tanks.
Yeah, no, that obviously what happened in Charleston is something that we don't want to see again, ever again. I remember it, even though I wasn't living in Charleston, I remember so much of that and what my friends went through that do live around that way. And whatever prevents that, I realize it comes at a great cost as well to make sure those things don't happen again. But the cost does not outweigh the necessity in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, fun quick fact about that water crisis, too. It's the only time that the legislature canceled the legislative session for, one day.
Really?
Because it happened on a Thursday, and on Friday they told everyone, go home. Go home for the long weekend until things, worked this out. Now, they were back Monday. But, we didn't even have that. Obviously, we haven't had that yet during this pandemic because the pandemic hadn't really started during the last legislative session, and now hopefully it's kind of slowly winding down. So hopefully we won't have any outbreaks in the legislative session currently going on. But yeah, the only time in recent memory that the legislature had to actually stop doing their job for one day.
Oh, I didn't realize that, Steve. Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about this just to paint the picture of what it is that you go through. Obviously, I follow you on social media. We've been friends for a long time, so I see some of the pictures that you post. What is the biggest difference in covering this legislative session than any other one that you've been a part of? Because the pictures I see of you, you look like you're as far away from people as you possibly can be.
Well, and that's exactly the biggest problem, the biggest kind of takeaway. And I can tell you, on the House side, you've got press tables that are usually up front. If you ever watch on the videos, you would see us sitting up front if they went to the wide shot. In the Senate, the press tables are in the back. You don't usually see us. But the nice thing about having press on the floor is you are constantly talking to lawmakers. Whether you're talking to them for interviews, whether you're talking to them just to chit-chat, you're building relationships, you're building trust, you're gathering information that you can use on background or what have you, and you're getting context on stories and things like that. And that's the biggest problem for me, which is, we're not allowed on the floor whatsoever. Instead of being on the floor, we're in the galleries. In some ways, that's great. It means I'm out of everybody's way. It's quieter. I can focus on what's going on. But what I miss out on, and what press miss out on, is, again, just the interaction with lawmakers. Now, the only way I try to get kind of around that is once floor sessions are done, I'll stand outside the chambers just to catch lawmakers as they come out or come in and say hi and chit chat. I did that today, talking to a couple lawmakers for my story on the above ground storage tank bill. It's super helpful to have that, and we don't have that currently. And it really does kind of create just problems in my mind. And not only that, and just real quick, in my opinion, they could probably start opening that building back up, maybe to limit the number of public inside. But they've got chambers or galleries on both sides that are not being utilized at all, and people could sit in those areas spaced out. Whether you're talking about the public or you're talking about lobbyists, because I hear it from all the time, and I know lobbyists get a bad rap, but they got a job to do, and sometimes they represent not just companies or businesses or interest groups, they represent people and that's nonprofits and things like that. That right now they can't get into the building and really do their jobs representing the people that they represent. It's a problem all around, and hopefully maybe as cases come down, maybe they'll start to ease up on some of those rules.
Great stuff as always. Stephen Allen Adams, read him in the Intelligencer and Ogden newspapers around the state. I appreciate it, pal. We'll check in with you later in the week.
Sounds good, Dan.
All right. We will be back with more on the Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jeff Jenkins. The State Board of Education has voted to order county school systems to eliminate blended in-person school schedules and return to 5-day-a-week instruction beginning March 3rd. Board President Miller Hall says more than half of the state's school workers have been vaccinated against COVID-19.
We can't put in arms and shots if we don't have the vaccination. If we don't have it, how can you put it in the arms? We can't. But does that mean because we can't put them, that we don't have school? The answer is no.
State coronavirus czar Dr. Clay Marsh told the board today returning to 5-day-a-week instruction for elementary and middle school kids is safe. 7 years ago, residents in parts of 9 West Virginia counties were dealing with a drinking water crisis after what's known as MCHM leaked into the Elk River near West Virginia American Water Company's large water plant in Charleston. Out of that came the Above Ground Storage Act, requiring tanks near drinking water to be regulated. A bill moving through the legislature would now exempt thousands of those tanks. Sierra Club lobbyist Karen Ireland says the oil gas industry is trying to use the current situation at the Capitol to their advantage.
When the public is not able to get to the Capitol and not able to appear before the committee to do what they've always wanted to do, which was to exempt an entire industry out of regulation under the above ground storage.
More at our website this hour. State Senate, meanwhile, has approved a bill giving county commissions more oversight over local health departments. More on that also at our site. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It appears the West Virginia basketball team will not be playing at Baylor this Thursday. WVU takes on TCU tonight in Fort Worth and was scheduled to stay in Texas to play a makeup game with second-ranked Baylor Thursday, but several reports indicate The Big 12 is going to postpone or perhaps even cancel that game, and we could find out later today. We'll have more coming up at WVMetroNews.com. Sunny day across the state. Temperatures this afternoon in the 50s with a breeze. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Jeff Jenkins.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. The University of Notre Dame will not provide its name, logos, and other branding property to EA Sports for the revitalized EA Sports College Football video game until new rules that determine whether athletes will be able to receive a cut of the game's profits are finalized. The NCAA has indicated that it intends to change its rules to allow college athletes the ability to make money from some types of endorsement deals. Federal and state lawmakers have also pushed legislation that would open up similar opportunities, some of which are scheduled to go into effect as early as this summer. In the latest men's basketball top 25, the top 5 remain unchanged. On the women's side, UConn remains number 1. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog.
What's in store this week at Staples?
Everything you need for a totally productive workspace.
Staples has the technology, supplies, and furniture you need to upgrade your workspace at amazing prices.
Like right now, select chairs are 40% off.
Plus, when you buy any office chair, get 25% off all desks, file cabinets, chair mats, bookcases, and lighting purchases.
Shop in store or pick up curbside.
Upgrade your workspace and save at Staples. See staplesconnect.com for details.
Ends 2/27/21. In-store only while supplies last. Curbside available at most stores.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. No one is funnier than you. People laugh just thinking about the things you've said. I'm laughing at one of them right now. Coworkers repeat your jokes at the office, but they're never as good as when you tell them, and shame on them for trying. There. Don't you feel better? You'll also feel better knowing you could save when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Although I'm sure you'd have a funnier way to say that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all...
Are you or your loved ones facing a serious legal battle? The law office of Paul Harris wants you to know you aren't alone. Do you need someone that's not afraid to go to trial and fight for your rights? Attorney Paul Harris and his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering the most aggressive representation in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts. Listen to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. Only on the Watchdog. Live and local talk radio, just the way you like it.
My apologies, I just got lost in the Motley Crue. I feel bad for anybody that doesn't love rock and roll music. There's so much music now that you can music is so available. And it kind of stinks in a way. As much as I love the radio business. I love it. I had a chance to completely switch careers at this point in my life, and I decided to come back into radio and do something completely different because I love it so much. But the good old days of tuning into your favorite rock station because that's where you got your rock songs, that's where you got your artist interviews, that's where you heard for the first time what the album was called. Now you can get music anywhere, and it's so interpretive. Motley Crue, you did not need an interpreter to figure out what those songs were about. And I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it. Long live Motley Crue. 40 years of Motley Crue. You believe that? 40 years. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Today's biggest story here on Real Big Talk, the world's biggest story right now, is the condition of Tiger Woods. If you are just joining and haven't looked at your social medias, this is a huge story. Tiger Woods badly injured in a car crash, and now some more details have come up, updated at 1:19, so that is West Coast time, so really just about 20 minutes ago. TMZ has learned that Tiger was staying in a hotel where a major network television show was being shot. Production sources tell TMZ when the director arrived just before 7 a.m., Tiger was driving his SUV very fast as he was leaving the property and almost hit that director's car. The director was so shaken about it when he came into the hotel, he told the production staff what had happened. So it's kind of like, if you're on your way to work and someone nearly hits you and you don't get hit and everything is fine, and you park and your first person you see says, "How's your morning?" "Oh, I almost got hit by a car. Thank God I didn't." That's how the director felt about seeing Tiger leave. Like, he was speeding away and thankfully he didn't hit me. So he actually mentioned it full well at the time, not knowing what had happened to Tiger. Law enforcement tells TMZ that Woods was alert enough at the scene of the accident to ask first responders to have his manager pick up his stuff. We're told that the cops have not found anything illicit inside the vehicle. As I mentioned before, if you haven't seen the picture of the rolled over SUV that Tiger was driving, 2 suitcases and some bags were sitting right next to it. Now, I don't know anything about Tiger's manager. I don't know where he lives. I don't know anything about him. But if you're Tiger Woods' manager, if he tells you to come pick up his stuff, you are going to get that stuff. I'm not saying there's anything inside that stuff. I mean, if it's just a bunch of Nike shirts, I would imagine that's something he could get more of. Wonder what's in, I hate to be that person, but for someone to just be in a car wreck, obviously his legs are injured badly enough, he went straight into surgery when taken to the hospital, and the thing he was worried about most were picking up his suitcases. That's odd. Do you find that odd, Lola?
No.
You don't find that odd?
No. If he had been staying at the hotel, and we don't know if that was the case or not, that's your stuff. That's your clothes. And do you want that out in the public? Oh, here's a shirt that was worn by Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Because now with a woman, the first thing you would say is, "Get my purse," because it's your stuff. No, I don't find that particularly.
Okay, I mean, the times I've been in accidents, and I was in a hell of an accident in St. Clairsville in 2000 and New Year's Day 2006, and luckily I was taken to Wheeling Hospital, and luckily it turned out to be okay. But I didn't think about any of those things. I mean, I was conscious after it happened, but I didn't think about any of it.
Yeah, but did you have suitcases in your car?
Yeah, because I spent the New Year's in Pittsburgh, and I lived in Parkersburg at the time. So yeah, I mean, I did have my clothes, because I was that guy. I took my clothes home to my mom, and she washed them for me. Like, I was totally that guy. I was sadly in my 20s and still that guy, but that's what that's what I did. So yeah, I did have my clothes with me, and I don't remember thinking about those clothes or anything else. And I would imagine if you're Tiger Woods, clothes are not a problem. I mean, you have...
No, but personal belongings that could be sold on eBay are.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way, but you're right. I mean, if you find somebody, an investigator at the scene, an EMT, someone cleaning up after the crash, like, oh, look, there's Tiger Woods' red Nike shirt that he would wear on Sundays at a golf tournament. I would like to have that and sell it on eBay. I guess you're right. I would have just thought in an accident, you wouldn't worry about your suitcase. But I don't, especially if your leg was injured. I mean, he makes his money playing golf. Well, you know what? That's not even a true statement anymore. He makes his money being Tiger Woods. Golfing is a thing that he made his money from doing. Now his money is just in motion. I hope he can play golf again. This is really a very odd thing. It's certainly odd too, and I'm not comparing necessarily one to the other, but two very historic vehicle-related events in Tiger's life that have become enormous stories. Enormous stories.
The man should learn how to take his foot off the gas pedal.
Well, the first story was him trying to get away from his wife. I mean, that was, you know, him.
And a golf club.
Yeah, and a golf club. I mean, she was swinging for the fences. And now this. You know, regardless of what you feel about Tiger Woods, if you're a fan or not, if he redeemed himself in your eyes or not, he is still one of the biggest sports stars in the world. And this is a huge story. How big is it? It's huge. Tiger's good friend Donald Trump has issued a statement about the crash saying, "Get well soon, Tiger. You're a true champion," as you'll remember back in 2019. Donald Trump awarded Tiger Woods the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So that is the latest on what's going on with Tiger Woods. Michael Jordan, from one GOAT to the other, we use the term GOAT now, as the greatest of all time. Tom Brady is on that list. I would say if there's a Mount Rushmore of American sports, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and certainly Michael Jordan would be on it. Great story about MJ. Gives $10 million to open 2 medical clinics in his hometown in North Carolina. Michael Jordan, for years, had been slammed about not being overly involved in his hometown. I mean, you'll remember there was a point where they asked Michael to get involved with politics while he was still playing for the Bulls. And his famous quote was, "Well, Republicans buy Nikes too." And he was right. You don't have to get involved in politics. But now that Michael Jordan really has nothing left to lose as far as he can do anything that he wants. I mean, he's a part owner of a NASCAR team, a basketball team. The Jordan brand is never going to be tarnished. At least I can't imagine a situation where it was. He's actually getting back involved with his hometown. And that's nice. That's really nice. In fact, he's from Wilmington, around Wilmington, North Carolina. And it is a beautiful area. And I understand that he spends time there. I mean, obviously, he owns the Charlotte Hornets. So he spends a lot of his time now and energy and effort in North Carolina. MJ pushing off $10 million for a couple of, and these, by the way, these medical facilities will help out with lower income families. So Michael Jordan pushing back in. Did you read the story about Cam Newton and the kid that was mouthing him at
No.
like a training camp?
No.
So Cam Newton, who has had, he's had his issues certainly in Charlotte as well as a member of the Panthers. He was an MVP in this league. Parted ways with the Panthers last year, ended up playing an entire season with the New England Patriots, had missed a couple of games because of COVID. Patriots didn't go anywhere. I think, what were they, 6-10, 7-9, something like that. They didn't make the playoffs, which is odd for the Patriots, obviously. And he is probably not going to go back and be a Patriot, but he still shows up to do a clinic to teach kids how to be better football players. Cam Newton won a national championship. There are not a lot of people that have the resume of Cam Newton, so he's doing this thing at a camp, and this kid starts mouthing him about being a lousy quarterback. If I would have done that, my father would have marched right out on the field or the ice or wherever I would have been, and he would have slapped the taste out of my mouth. Kids are bold. Kids are bold. This guy is a national championship, has played in a Super Bowl, and made it to the NFL for many years, and probably will stay in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind someone will pick Cam up if he doesn't end up back at the Patriots. But this kid mouthed him. Finally, the kid released an apology and didn't exactly directly apologize to Cam Newton. That is a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how that turns out for you. We started the show talking about this, and I wanted to mention it again because I think it is worth a mention. We've talked at exhaust, and honestly, we'll probably continue to talk to an exhausting amount about getting vaccinated and where you can find vaccines. Obviously, West Virginia doing a good job, but people are still on waiting lists. I mean, it's still going to take a while for some people. I am on a couple of waiting lists, but I found one that I want to let everybody know about. You can just look up Dr. B. The website itself is HiDRB, so it's HiDrB.com. It's a real simple website. It's black and white, and basically you can get yourself on a list to be called if there are extra vaccines at a clinic in your area. So it breaks down, your address, finds clinics reasonably around there, and the health participants that are involved with Dr. B will send you a text message. You have 15 minutes to respond to the text message, and then 2 hours ultimately to get to wherever that vaccine may be. So I think a lot of people could find that helpful, and it is legit. I know when you go there. Did you look at it?
No.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, it doesn't look like much, but it is. It actually can help a lot of people. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and finish up this show next on The Watchdog.
Listen to the Bill DeFabio Variety Show with Bill DeFabio and Lola Miller. Weekdays noon to 2 on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gellner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at GellnerLaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! Yeah! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go, 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure, I mean, you being a mountain climber and all.
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Morning, my head felt dense. I splashed it with water, trying to make it make sense. I stumbled to the kitchen, she was standing at the sink. All she had to do was just give me that wing. And slam, bam, I'm feeling alright. Troubles take a hike in the blink of an eye. No need to psychoanalyze or have a stiff drink. All she's gotta do is just.
I'm Big Rick, that's Lola, Real Big Talk. Getting ready to wrap it up for this Tuesday. We all look at, and I'm convinced everybody does it. I did it, well, it's Tuesday. I've done it twice this week. When I drive past the big lottery billboard coming down 70 and you see what the lottery's worth, we all instantly dream. What would I do I think the Powerball right now might sit at like 90 million. So I break down the math. I'm like, okay, so 90 million, I'll take the cash option. It's 45. I'll pay out the taxes 40%. This is what I would do with this. This is what I would do with this. I mean, by the time I get to work, I have already spent it. I've already spent it. In my mind, I've spent it. You know, that's a lot of money. But you can go through it. You can. Jack Whitaker showed us the way. And that's not 36 million. That was like, what was that, 700 million? I mean, it was just a ridiculous number. So you can go through it quickly. But could you imagine knowing that you have it and not being able to collect it? That actually happened to a guy from Pittsburgh. He was traveling through the state of Maryland, and he bought a Maryland lottery ticket, and then it snowed for days. He knew he had the $2 million ticket, and he lived in Pittsburgh, but you have to go to Maryland. If it's a Maryland lottery ticket, you have to go to their headquarters to collect. He tried to go, and he couldn't go because it wouldn't stop snowing, so he had this ticket for like a week and a half, and he couldn't get to Maryland to collect on. I would be frantic. If I had a $2 million, where would you put it? If you knew that you couldn't get there for a week because of the weather.
It'd be in my bra.
I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't be able to focus on anything other than the fact that I can't lose this ticket. I would probably put it in a safe and then carry that safe with me room to room and then I would not open my door for anything. Nothing. I would be so paranoid, I would probably lose my marbles before I actually collected it. The guy was finally able to get there Friday, but I can't even get to work without thinking it and passing a billboard. Could you imagine actually having the ticket worth $2 million? Lola would put it in her bra. I don't know.
Well, you need it somewhere, you know. That
Yeah.
You can't get your pocket picked.
I mean, I don't think I'd leave the house. I would be so nuts. I would probably just sit there and rock back and forth with it in my hands. Like to the point where I wore the ink off and it was no longer a good ticket.
See, if I won one of those big, like the 90.
Yeah, this was $2 million, but it's $2 million more than I have.
But I would not, I would take it to my attorney.
Yeah, oh yeah, you
because
have to. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to turn it in until I had everything in place beforehand, but.
Yeah, that's the anticipation of knowing I had $2 million coming. I'd probably lose my mind. We're getting ready to wrap it up for the day. Thank you for the calls and all the comments. We do appreciate that. We will be back here tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. So for Lola, I'm Rick. Have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy what you can of the sunshine, and we will talk to you tomorrow on The Watchdog.